So this is a crazy week, and people are screaming about the NBA and the lack of defense again. Crazy scoring week. My guy, our guy,
Mm,
Mr. Dunn,
mm.
73. Joel, 70. 62 from,
D
Devin.
Book been going crazy too. He's at like back-to-back 40s. The back.
62 from Cat. Some 40s like B Souls was saying, all that stuff in there. And this has got the NBA up in arms. No one plays defense in the NBA anymore. This has got the community up in arms.
Uh-oh.
I didn't see the conversation really start, and boy, I'm thought because I was supposed to be at that game. I was supposed to be at that game. I came home Friday night sick from work. Like, it's in my. I was sick on last pod. I was sick Friday, and I was like, you know what? We're not even gonna get the tickets. I need to go in there, take some cold medicine, go to sleep. Took some cold medicine as soon as I hit the door. Woke up, 8 little text messages. What? This motherfucker said.
Wait, so you already bought the tickets?
No, we have this. So Davis, friend of the show, put us onto some game.
Mhm.
Wait until it gets close to game time.
Mhm.
Buy the tickets if you're gonna do it last minute. So then the prices go lower because people are trying to, get rid of their tickets or whatever. And we're gonna get them. I was like, nah, I'm too sick. My girlfriend, you're too sick. We can't go. Woke up, 73 fucking points.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'd cry in the car. I'd still be crying in the car. I'll go first, not because I have the good take. I actually have the boring take. Again, right? Damn, am I boring? Not gonna lie. There can be two truths.
Wait, I didn't lay it all out. You're not even there yet. We're not ready.
Oh, okay. My fault, OG. Continue.
Gosh,
I got a video I'll put in topic.
Sorry, I was excited for the topic.
Cruz did a bunch of homework for this one. I can't cheat him on this one.
Uh-oh.
First, where were y'all?
Oh, where was I?
I was streaming.
I
Watch the end of it.
I think I was streaming as well. I didn't react to it. No, I wasn't streaming. I was just chilling. I think I just ended stream.
D-Book had a chance at
in bed.
72. Come on, man.
I was in bed with my girl watching movies.
What? Yeah. I was in the house. I just don't know if I was streaming.
All right. So producer Cruz says this is the proof that the defense is dying in the NBA. While the teams with the highest pace of play were dominating teams in the 70s, efficiency is the highest that it's ever been. According to The Athletic, not only has shooting percentage across the board went up, not only has turnover percentage been at historically low rates, but the players are also choosing to shoot in places they are the most efficient at. Other more obvious effects are the influx in three-point shots, in the analytic shots, shooting in the paint or threes only. Is this the natural evolution of the sport? What is going on with the game we love? Is this a lack of defense?
All right. I'll go first. I personally feel like this is the natural evolution of the game. I got to bring it back to the creator analogy, but it reminds me a lot of when people say like Mr. Beast ruined YouTube and not everything is like a Mr. Beast video. In my personal opinion, I don't think he did. Just because, and even if you think he did, I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did, because I feel like for years, YouTubers have been doing YouTube wrong, in terms of not caring about audience retention, not caring about hooks, not caring about titles, not caring about thumbnails. And then here comes this dude who understands how you should actually play the game, revolutionized it, has dominated because of it, and everyone is trying to copy him because it fucking works. So same thing with the NBA. If you look historically, 90s and 2000s basketball, in my opinion, is actually the outlier when it comes to statistics. Like in the 60s and the 70s, it was higher paced. In the second half of the 2010s, it became higher paced, and now here we are in the 2020s, it is higher paced. So for a majority of NBA history, it actually has been a fast-paced game with inflated statistics, for lack of a better term. And I think with all the evolutions that we can talk about, from Mike D'Antoni coming into the game, the Warriors revolutionizing the game, hell, even what Jordan did in the 90s and things of that nature, Like this is just where the game was going to head in at one point or another. And I think a lot of the people talking about this right now just grew up on 90s and 2000s basketball. That's what they're used to. They didn't watch basketball in the 80s or the 70s. And they just wanted to go back to what they were used to. So
Yeah, I think that I think that there's just a boring truth here that there's two truths on both sides. I mean, there's truths on both sides. On one end, yeah, players have definitely found it more appealing to be offensive minded and offensive oriented. Effort is being pushed towards the offensive side of the ball. Got playing like Steph Curry, playing the handle. Players are allowed to do more with the ball in their hand. Joint movement as a defender is hell. So as a result, you're able to abuse a defender more. So there's several positives. The spacing is one of a kind now. The coaches are smarter. So as a result, there's several ways why a lot of players are kind of just like, my value is going to be on that offensive side of the ball. Hell, you're unplayable if you're damn near unplayable if you're just a defender that can't put the ball in the basket. Like outside of literally one defenders in the league, like you got a handful of defenders that I could possibly name that like can't shoot for shit, don't offer any offensive value whatsoever, but they're just that damn good defensively. If you're not that damn good defensively, yeah, you're out of here, buddy. But however, on the other end, we gotta stop when people bitch about defense. We gotta stop acting like even though the game is evolving, players aren't as well. Did you see the 70 points that Luka dropped? Did you see how even Devin D-Book whether you want to go to how D-Book dropped 70, I know he gets slandered for that game, but how he got slandered and he just had a bunch of free throws even though he fucking lost the game. Or if you want to go to how Luka got 70 and he's shooting behind the fucking backboard, or how me and Damo bitch all the time about how Jokic was just getting his hand smacked in the playoffs, getting shot. These players are just ridiculously good now, bro. The game hasn't just evolved. These players have evolved as well. So ultimately, it's just more skilled motherfuckers in the league now. I don't know what to tell you. I know nostalgia's a bitch. I think nostalgia is the strongest drug in the world. So I know you're gonna want to name your No Chill Gills, your Vince Carters, your Paul Pierces. Even there's just these niggas in the league today are just too damn good at scoring the ball that everybody's gonna look like they can't play defense until and the game is too smart nowadays. So until rules are implemented to directly change how you play, because those rules haven't been that impactful. I'm not going to say they haven't been rules implemented, but they haven't been impactful enough to derail what we have going on. So until a change like that is required, it's just going to keep happening. It's not just everybody ain't playing defense, but I'll say it's definitely in terms of your star players, it's a good amount because a lot of these guys know, hey, you can't guard us.
A lot of great points being made. I would say, yeah, no, I'm not about to be on the side of people saying that there's no defense in basketball. I'm not on the side of people criticizing defense in basketball. There's definitely defense in basketball today. The only issue is offenses are advanced, as people have been saying. The game is more advanced. And the way basketball is being played is making it hard for defenders to play defense. We've never seen the game as spaced out as it is. The spacing in today's game is crazy. That allows more people to be able to use offensive skills. Anytime in history of basketball, there have been more players that have been able to do certain things than was given credit for. There were guys that were around in every era that could do more, that could have done a bit more if given the opportunity or given the chance. A lot of guys weren't able to because you don't get the space that you do today. And until teams start drafting, constructing, crafting these rosters, these teams, these lineups, these units, and these schemes to handle the spacing of basketball, the game is just going to look like this. The moment you get a bunch of Wimbies and Jalen McDaniels, a bunch of long athletic guys who can switch 1 through 4, 2 through 5, guys that can move around the court, switch at a drop of a dime, and teams that are prioritizing defense. I'm not going to lie to you. The spacing is an issue until you find a team that prioritizes defense. You go watch an Orlando Magic game with the defenders they have when they're healthy. It don't look like that much space out there. The space gets ate up when you got a bunch of guys bought in, and the system is they're going to attack them. Like the Timberwolves was great defense because when you look at them, that space is getting ate up, and they're prioritizing it. A lot of teams aren't prioritizing defense. That's the issue. Back then, in these times that we're talking about, defense and the way the game was played benefited less space, so less guys could do different things, just how the game was played. But teams cared more about defense back then. More teams were constructed to be defensive units. Teams are not relying on offense. Now we have a game where teams are relying on offense. And it's not just one coach. Mike D'Antoni was the innovator of what people call offense-only ball. I remember the fucking cartoon sketches Bleacher Report used to do when he came with the book of, and Harden was like, what about the defensive book? What defensive book? Like, I remember that. I lived through that. Like, it was only one Mike D'Antoni at a time. Other than that, a lot of teams had defensive identities. All these teams with culture were defensive identity teams. They prioritize defense. Now, everyone's Mike D'Antoni feels. Every coach, they come in, they have something. Analytics has made the game about offense. Analytics is pointing to why offense is important. That's another reason why the game's played like this. You can't blame defense in this case. It's just how the game's played.
Well, I think that's because, and I got some follow-ups for all this stuff. I think that's because if you are a bad offensive team, the downside of being a bad offensive team is worse than being a bad defensive team. I saw what Cruz put in the chat, and I agree with what he said. I think there is less defense, but because the offense is better, there is less defense. Hear me out. It's gonna make a lot of sense as we go through all these clips and stuff like that. So back in the day, I mean, we looked at it. I picked out random mid-2000s team. I was in a Twitter space picking out random 2000s team, mid-2000s team. And I was looking at who they played, when they played, or whatever they played, case may be. I think I picked out like the 2009 Charlotte Bobcats. Now, when I say that team, automatically people think, oh, terrible team, terrible franchise, blah, 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 blah. But they were a 9th-ranked defense, and they made the playoffs that year. They were 9th-ranked defense in the league or something like that. Top 10 ranked defense. That might have been the year that they were first in defense, if I'm not mistaken. So,
damn.
Yeah, they were first in defense. However, the players that they were playing offensively, 2009, 2010 Charlotte Bobcats. The players that they played offensively speaking, though, were not good offensive players. Starting lineups are main lineups of Boris Diaw, Raymond Felton, Steven Jackson, Nazir Muhammad, Gerald Wallace.
Steven Jackson and Gerald Wallace were the best two players. I remember those Bobcats teams. That was the fun years growing up.
No shooting, none of that stuff. And then I looked up
at the rim.
Everything is at the rim, layups, all that stuff. 76ers, I think not of that era, but of maybe
like the 2011 one, the Drew Holiday one, when
there was one where they ran like 3 or 4 forwards at the same time. It might have been 2010, 2011. I think 2010, 2011. I'm looking at it right now. They ended up 7th in defense, and this is what people want: 7th in defense. Really scrappy bunch, but they played Elton Brand, Spencer Hawes, Iguodala, Jody Meeks, and Drew Holiday. There's another year in here where they play like 4 forwards at the same time. I think this is it. They're 3rd in defense. But so I say all that to say, if you were to play a lineup like that today, they might be better defenders, especially for a smaller spaced court. But on the offensive end, if they can't give you enough offense, because that's a team that can't give you enough offense. That's a team, they ended up being 20th in offense. They were 3rd in defense, the 11-12 Sixers. If they can't hit threes with you, then it's not going to even out. I want to know, because we're here, people are talking about we need to get a rule change in here. We'll talk about the old men yelling that there's no defense anymore. What is a rule change that would solve this issue? No defense issue.
As the person that brought up a potential rule change, I'm not necessarily advocating for it. I've just grown to say, man, look, y'all gonna have to get used to these rule books and record books in football, basketball. I don't know how other sports are doing, but nowadays, man, just let the old records be the old records. Maybe get a new book, a post 2010 book or some shit, because I don't know what rule you'll have that will take away the 3 ball.
Hand checking. They say hand checking.
hand checking ain't going. Hand checking is not going to stop these dudes. The idea of having a 5 out is something that like the hand checking era didn't even necessarily have to deal with. Yes, you're going to name the one team that might have done it. Cool. Majority of the league does that 10 times better. Hand checking is not going to solo squad the Kyrie Luka Dallas Mavericks. I'm just naming a random team. Like hand checking isn't going to solo the way that a lot of people think it is. I don't know what the fuck the rule is, but the rule would have to be something that would hinder I remember somebody back then, and I thought it was goofy, but if we're looking for the cut down scoring, somebody said a while ago, forgot who it was on TV, to take away the corner three. Because you take away the corner three, now the spacing is a little bit more condensed. It's at the top of the key-ish. As a result, defenders don't have to go that far from the paint. So maybe that's something. I know that sounds gross, but again, I don't have one right now.
I would say one that would contribute would getting rid of 5 seconds back to the basket. Like imagine if like you were like Embiid and Jokic were incentivized to just back you down as long as they can until they get a bucket like that. That will definitely slow down the pace. Yeah.
But is that conducive of like a great offense? Because at the end of the day, if it ends up being in probably a harder to more wear and tear on Embiid, who we just talked about his knees, Jokic banging for 5 seconds back to back to back. Like I don't know if that's.
I don't think there's one rule where you're just all right. If you change this, boom, everything's solved. I think it would have to be like a set of rules that would have to come in, like 4 or 5 different rules. Now, what those rules are, I can't think of off the top of my head, but they would just have to come up with what the objective is of this new NBA and which rules they can make and get rid of to like accompany that new movement and incentivize it.
So producer Cruz wants us to know that the death of defense has always been something they've talked about. They've always talked about it.
25-year-old Will Chamberlain, transplanted into today's NBA, what do you do? Well, the 25-year-old Will Chamberlain, transplanted into today's NBA, what do you do? Well, you can take Russell with you.
It's simple for me. It may be a little different for Russ, but simple for me. I think it'd be as easy for Russ. You see, with the new rules, which are all slant to help the offense. Now, when I get the ball, instead of having 2 and 3 people and Russ all at me at the same time, I'm by myself with one guy. I would love it. 50 points, maybe 60 points, maybe 70 points a game. Because I had nobody. Wait a minute. Well, you asked me a question, right?
70 a game.
Well, you know, the last 10 games, I was talking to Russ about the last 10 games of my 61-62 season, right before I scored 100 points, I averaged about 71 points a game.
Yeah, you were on a rampage.
Yeah, but I'm saying to you, but it's easier now. I was too fast. I was too strong. One guy is not going to take me down in that particular way. The best basketball athletes I've ever seen played in the 50s and 60s.
Really?
Yeah, really.
You take the best of your Celtic teams. Now, you got 11 champions to pick and 8 in a row, as I remember in one stretch. The best of your Celtic teams against the best teams of the last 5-6 years. And let me know what you think the outcome would be.
Would have still won 11 championships. I haven't seen a team in the last 10 years or 15 years that could beat us.
The best of your Celtic teams.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at them for saying that. I say that.
I'm about to say, are they gonna cook me? Come on, man.
When was that?
Big Bill.
When was this? This had to be like in the 80s, 90s when this took place, right?
I think I've seen that interview. It's like the mid.
Nah, that looked like early 2000s based on them.
No, Will. I'm gonna say Will died before the 2000s, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I think that's mid 90s when like Shaq was really a conversation in the league.
I was looking at the ESPN.
So they were interviewing like Wilt and Bill, talking about how would you guard like Hakeem and Shaq like if they played in your era. I think I remember that interview.
There was also a WNBA 97.
Early 2000s, 97. Wish me, man.
2017, 2020s.
That's 2 totally different eras. Mid 90s and the
M-I-C-K-E-Y.
All right.
M-I-C-K-E-Y.
Well, Bill basically went all at MJ. Pretty much. He said for the past
2 Rockets
years, 2 Rockets teams, all of
Pistons
MJ.
teams.
Pistons, and what is that?
One Laker team.
Yeah, one Laker team or something like that. Now you knew he couldn't beat them early Lakers and them Celtics boys. Hey. You couldn't fuck with Bird. But so my thought process here when I hear this is that I whether I agree with them or not, because I still feel like Bill Russell will be dominating. I think what they're essentially saying is like the game of basketball, the thing that you want to do, at least from my perspective, is one-on-one isolate with a mismatch. That's our best way to score in basketball. Like, there's free like transition buckets and all that stuff like that, wide open shots. Outside of wide open shots, the thing that you want to do is get a one-on-one isolation opportunity with a mismatch. And they're saying in their era, it was definitely more crowded. They didn't get that opportunity. But then in the 90s and stuff like that, when they introduced rules where, okay, there is illegal defense. People can't be around you and just showing and all this other stuff like that. They either got to commit to the double or they got to, what I'm saying? They got to stay with their man. Then you would be able to score easier. And I think that's where we're getting to today. The counter to the whole 90s thing was, all right, we're going to introduce some zone. We got to clear this up a little bit, blah, 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 blah. And now the fix is, all right, well, we're going to make zone obsolete in the NBA. We're going to make one pass away hedging obsolete in the NBA. We're going to make showing obsolete in the NBA. You're either going to stay with your man in this corner, or I'm going to make you pay by kicking it to the corner and he's going to hit the three. Or if you help one pass away at the top, I'm going to kick it here and you're going to have to die by this three. Or you can watch me isolate on this guy after we set 3 screens to get a smaller guy on me. And that's where we are today. So it's not, I do think that it's less defense, but that's just because the offense has become so much more optimized.
Yeah.
They can get more isolations at this point.
I also think players, I'm going back to the players got better point, because it's not a coincidence that every era says they would cook in a future era. It's not all old niggas just being cocky and shit. Well, no, let me take that back, because ultimately we're looking at Wilt Chamberlain and we say he played against plumbers, literal plumbers and shit. So he was talking about he's like the fastest, tallest, strongest dude. Yeah. And then and granted, they're not Wilt Chamberlains, but there's a lot of other people that got cloned in the 90s that we but that motherfucker in the 60s, he's probably not averaging, maybe average 45. So you feel me? So I think again, these players are just getting better at an alarming rate, and every generation is always going to feel like, damn, I mean, I would just cook too. I would cook too. We always talk about what if Curry grew up in the fucking 90s and the result to how truly skilled would he be with the 3 ball, how truly skilled would he be with his handle and shit like that. But you got to think a motherfucker like Jerry West, for example, like, damn, if I was born in 2000, I'm just shit, height 6'1", weight 140. Like he probably thinking that he's cooking. So I'm always gonna say that player evolution is probably the number one, because it's just the humane thing to do. Track stars are dusting old track stars. Motherfucking WNBA is like, wallahi.
That's not true.
Huh?
Right.
Track stars are smoking niggas now. I thought that was definitely.
It depends. It depends. It depends on the event, but it's still a lot of track and field events. Records that are still held from way back when.
There was a thing talking about how faster people are in track nowadays.
It might be for that event. It might be for a specific event, like for the 100-meter dash. Niggas are astronomically better. But certain events, it's still like older niggas holding the records.
Jesse Owens still holds a lot of records. What's her name? FloJo from the 90s on the women's side still holds a lot of records.
I'm 90% sure, but I'll look things
now.
Up
There have been some broken by Usain Bolt, but I'm looking at Olympic game records right now. 2021 is the 100 meters. This is on the women's side. But if we go to 200, it's 98, 96, 80. There's a 2021, 88, 2016. It's mixed in there, but there's a lot of track records that still hold from later years. Now we can talk about roids.
I'm about to say, I see a lot of 2020s on the list that I'm on. I just searched up world records.
Are you on men?
Yeah, I'm on men. I see like when you keep scrolling, you'll see 2023, 2022, 2022.
What's the record for?
Why niggas go crazy in 09? 2020, 2020, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
But wait, what are the records though? Like what are you like? What event is it?
I mean, the point was they're evolving in track, but sure. Again, 1500 meter, 2000 meter, 3000 meter, 10,000 meters, 1 hour, whatever the hell that is. 660 meter hurdle, 3,000 meters steeplechase. Okay, what the fuck is that? 400 meter hurdle, pole vault, shot put,
Okay.
mile road, yeah, marathon, half marathon, everything I just named was passed in 2020. Yeah, I know I'm not drunk for that. Maybe I don't have I don't watch fucking track and field all the time, but I just heard that.
It really depends on what you're talking about. So I'll say what I'm talking about. If I'm talking about Olympic world records or Olympic records and even world records, on the women's side, a lot of them are still held by women pre 1990 or some stuff like that. And I'm looking at them. There are some that are sprinkled in with like Jamaica's Renaissance through there, but it's not like that. And then also on the men's side, a lot of these are Jamaican held records, and even then some of the distance ones are more recent. But when you say when you said it, I'm thinking like they've broken them in the last this last year, these past 2 years or whatever. Usain Bolt stuff and a lot of Jamaica stuff is held since like 08, 09. But we don't have the semantics. I get what you're saying. Sports.
Yeah, I guess I'm whatever. It's not even the main point of the subject.
Yeah, I feel like one of the solutions would be the defense is getting better too, because I do agree with Omar to a certain degree. Like a lot of offenses right now is just mismatch hunting. Because even when I was watching the Laker game against the Warriors, bro, Curry was looking for that AD switch, dog. He was looking for that AD switch and just killing AD. But if y'all feel like we get to a point where the defense can just switch everything and there like are barely any mismatches on the court, like there would be like a counterbalance to the offensive movement.
So
yeah, we're getting towards that now. If you're starting to look around a lot of these teams, a lot of teams are prioritizing length on the basketball court.
Yeah.
If you got a nigga that's 6'3", 6'2" at guard, he is a scrappy defender for a lot of these guys on the defensive team. Other than that, you have length out there. If you look at some of the top defenses, they prioritize themselves on length. Like that, pause, but that's the only counterbalance to it.